Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today welcome to the beauty, to the queen, to the Boeing 747-8. Part of the Aircraft and Avionics Update number 2 beta, which just came out the day before I'm recording this, and this is going to be my very first flight with it. So it's been a little while since I've flown a 747 in the sim. Back then it used to be the PMDG, today it's going to be the Aircraft and Avionics updated Boeing. So, the AAU has focused mostly on the avionics updates, and therefore I do not expect study-level systems from this. However, I am absolutely sure that this is going to become an amazing airplane once finally released. But how amazing is it going to be? Well, let's hop in and find out. So, welcome to the cockpit of the 747-8, and welcome to the captain's seat. The first thing I always notice when I'm sitting in the 747 is just how high you sit in this. So when I'm here looking outside, I'm like, wow. This is huge. This airplane is really huge. But okay, let's get on and talk about what we are going to do with it today. So, just like Lufthansa did on some real-life training flights when they first introduced the type, we are going to fly it on a short-haul connection between Frankfurt and Munich. And if you've seen my video taking the 787 over, we are going to take the 747 back. So, we've done all our flight planning, everything through SimBrief, and with that we are pretty much set up for the flight. So let's quickly go ahead and load it up. Now, you might remember that on the flight over in the 787 we took about 10 tons of fuel. Now take a rough guess as to what we need in the 747 then. The good news is, not all that much, so it is going to be roughly 17 tons of fuel that we need for this. So, here we go, 17.2, that is going to be good. We'll leave the payload unchanged so that we have a default payload setting there. Okay then, onto the plane, as said. My 747 SOPs are a little bit rusty, so my apologies for that. However, I do believe I will still be able to get it from A to B. Okay, give me some power, please. And you can also give me some lights, please, but yeah, not really that visible during daylight. It is a rather dark cockpit, unfortunately. Okay, so. And iris mode select as set. Let's go ahead and start our FMC setup. So, 747-8i, GNX engines, IRAC is current, position in it, and we'll take the GPS position into the IRS. And off we go. We are going from Munich towards Frankfurt today, and we are the Lufthansa 5 Tango November. Okay, departure runway is going to be 26 right, and we're going to follow the give me departure. That will be give me 1 November. For the routing, it's Yankee 101 towards Ernas and then Tango 161 Favur. Like this. And the arrival into Frankfurt is going to be an ILS approach to runway 25 left. And we have the Favur 3... What's that? Favur 3 Bravo arrival. The transition from 6 to 6. Okay. Activate that. Okay, reserve fuel. Harness are alternate, so that is a rather quick diversion. However, we still need 7.8 tons of fuel. That's almost the entire fuel we had with the 787. But well, things are gonna last. Okay, so fuel weight, we just click on it, we take it from here. Cruising flight level is going to be 240, and the cost index is calculated at 176 by SimBrief today. Cruise CG, we'll just take right from here, execute. Again, 20% D-rate, 45 degrees, assumed temperature. Might actually use 55 degrees, because we are so incredibly light. Okay, takeoff page, flap 5 takeoff. Can't do that. Okay, well then it's gonna be... Oh yeah, of course, it has to be flap 10 takeoff. So flaps 10, CG we'll take right from the system. 37, 40, and 60. Go, 160. Okay, perfect. That's the FMC pretty much set up. VNAV page, we can quickly put our transition altitude in. And in here, just as it did in the 787, speed 240 below 100, that is incorrect for the climb page. That should only be on the descent. This should be 250. And we are going to change that manually. Like this. Okay, perfect. So that is our setup pretty much completed. Let's go ahead and do the remainder of the flight deck setup. So we've got the IRSs on. We basically follow our standard scan flow over here. Hydraulics remain off for now. Well, the fire test is unfortunately not working up there, and the light test isn't either. Then we can go further down to the fuel system. We don't need anything there yet. And guys, we'll put that stuff all in auto. And then for the lights, we take a nav light, at least if it would be working. I don't know why it just reset all my controls on the Honeycomb, so that stuff is overriding itself, and the bleeds should definitely be on. Okay, onto the autopilot. Flight directors can go on. Initial climb in Munich, flight level 70, and the runway heading is going to be in the region of 260 degrees. Here we go, 260 degrees, LNAV, VNAV. Okay, altimeter 1013 is correct, auto brake armed, and then if we go down here to the communication, 122.8 active, and then we can go on the right hand system, 1215 active. Thank you. And can we monitor any of those? Nope, we can't. The light is still not coming up, that is unfortunate. Yeah, the center CDU is a copy of the left one, which is done like that in order to improve your frame rates. Oh no, the TCAS selector is stuck in the below position. Why is that? That should really be working. Or at least be in the neutral and not below. And transponder we can't change either. But okay, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. Anyway, that is our pre-flight setup pretty much completed. Let's recall all the messages we might have. Okay, engine fail. Engine oil pressure, engine oil temperature, yeah, that is all associated, so that's quite expected. Okay, this is looking good. Then let's quickly run through all of this. They said that the fuel system and some others are still work in progress over here, so we can certainly see that. However, the important one for us today is going to be the electronic checklist, so let's go over that. So, standby power selector auto, it is. Battery switch on, external power switches are on, APU selector, not yet, APU generators, well, can't turn them on yet either. Nav light on, flight directors on, seatbelts, they should be down here on the 747, and they are. Okay, perfect. Seatbelt selector on, and that's the pre-flight checklist completed. Okay, let's get a pushback tuck, and then we will get going. Last thing for us to do here, we can go over to hectopascals. We want an output display and a train display, please. Okay, perfect. So that's our entire setup completed, and with that we are basically ready to go. So we could do pretty much everything that we would have to do in the relay airplane. That is really nice. Just look at how tiny that dispatcher looks.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Yes, hello there. Can't even see her from the cockpit. Go up, maybe? No. I can't even see her from the cockpit. That's incredible. Okay, so with that, we are pretty much just waiting for GSX to get ready, and then we can already start. So, let's get the beacon light on. I don't know, sometimes this is really strange. Okay, so pushback facing north onto center 2, please. Well, the beacon is in the upper position anyway, but I can't change the light. But that is not a bug with the plane, that is a bug with the control assignments here, so my apologies for that. In any case, let's go ahead and cockpit to ground. Go ahead. Can we power the hydraulics? Yes, sir. Okay, looks like the auxiliary position is not simulated. Well, then we've got to do it this way. The packs, all 3 of them. No, they're not clickable. Okay, because in the 747 we need to turn the packs off. In the 787 it was automatic, but in the 74 we definitely need to. And turn the window heat on, just while I see it. Deep brake extended, so yeah. Okay, then before start, checklist. Transponder panel set, auto throttle arm switch. On, takeoff speed set, takeoff trim. What should that be? 6.7. And we might as well quickly trim that. Okay, 6.7 set, altimeters, 1013, set 3 times, taxi and takeoff briefing completed, beacon lights on, and bleed air switches on, before start checklist complete.
Release parking brakes.
Brake released.
Push. All engines clear. Start engine.
Okay, off we go. Look at that, GSX is causing bugs again. This is a default airplane, come on GSX. Are my brakes smoking down there? Did they cause a wheel well fire? There are things I definitely don't want to think about. Just horrible. Okay, starting engines number 3 and 4. Oh no. I forgot the APU. Oh no. Okay, well, let's quickly fire up the APU. It's so nasty. You know, in real life, you always have the ground crew asking if they can disconnect the external power unit, and that is sort of my clue to remember that there is something going on. And the clue to start the APU is when the dispatcher goes out after he gave us the load sheet. Obviously, those clues are missing in the simulator. And for that reason, I sometimes tend to forget the APU. Okay, here we go. That's better. Oh. Well, that's interesting. Looks like the engine start commenced anyway. Oopsie. Well. Let's give it fuel, let's give it starters. Let's see what's gonna happen. In any case, it's good to see that at least the IRS is still working here. So we don't need to do a realignment. Roll your asymmetry. Okay, yeah, I guess that is GSX induced. Okay then, start engines number 1 and 2.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking here.
Okay, that is 4 good starts, and finally GSX is lowering us down so that sound stops. So incredible what a piece of beep GSX is. After that time, and even flying a default airplane now, it's still messing it up. Incredible. Okay, so generators are coming online by itself, so APU can be shut off. That's good, the packs are on. Oh, what is that?
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
It looks like the animation for the hydraulic pumps there is incorrect.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll just keep it in the... I suppose that's... Well, if that is off, then that is possibly the auto position. Not exactly what it's supposed to look like, but we'll take it from there. Okay, flight 10, flight controls. Go ahead with the flight controls, please. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Okay, again, just like in the 787, when the checklist is complete and you pull a different page up and then you click the checklist button again, the checklist should have forwarded automatically here. So before taxi checklist, APU bleed air switch, off. APU selector, off. Speed brake lever, no, not going to arm that. Just like in the 787 video, this is definitely incorrect. You never arm the speed brakes in a Boeing aircraft. I have to click it though, because the item override button is grayed out. Auto brake selector, as RTO, takeoff flaps. That is 10 green light. And then we'll do the taxi light switch in a moment. Okay, so let's see. GSX is gone, so we are ready to go. Taxi light switch on before taxi checklist complete. Blank the display. Clear on the left. Clear on the right. Brakes off. Let's go. It's just amazing in the 747, isn't it? We're going 10 knots at the moment, and I'm looking outside and it really looks like we are just slowly creeping forward. But if you go to the external view, you see that we're actually taxiing at quite a decent speed up here. By the way, since we're in the external view, good to see that the smoke from the brakes down there has cleared. Okay then, there is everything clear on the right hand side, so let's swing over. And go over to the entry. Look at that, I'm looking outside and I think like I'm going really slow, then I look at my navigation display and it's 20 knots. The size of the 747 is just incredible, but it makes it quite a challenge initially to get adapted to the speed at which you're taxiing. Looking outside, I would never judge this to be 20 knots, but apparently it is. You can adjust the displays in that relation. Okay, clear on the left, clear on the right. Come on, airplane. This looks interesting, doesn't it? From the flight deck, it looks like you are overshooting the taxiway. But if you have a look at the outside, I'm actually just a tiny bit to the left of where I'm actually supposed to be. However, somebody please tell me why I have 45% of thrust set and still the airplane is hardly turning. Well, I guess that falls under the category of things that I do just not want. Okay, takeoff briefing. It's going to be left sea takeoff runway 26 right, flaps 10, noise abatement procedure number 2, and I believe I once again forgot to set that in the FMC. The next page. Yep, acceleration height should be 1000. This. Okay, so noise abatement procedure number 2, and we are climbing initially straight ahead, later on a right turn. Flight level 70, and we are on the departure frequency already. Emergencies, if we need to, we can go straight ahead 25 miles, pick up a holding over there, and 5,000 feet is going to keep us safe anywhere around. Any questions? Probably not, then. Let's see if the checklist is, yeah, asking us for the same strange stuff that the 787 did. Not sure where all that stuff comes from that they have in the checklist there. Just like in the 787 where I showed you the original Boeing checklists, the checklist should be quite different in the 747 here as well. But anyway, it is what it is. We have to live with what we have. So let's go ahead and enjoy what we have. Okay. Runway entry procedures, please. That beacon switch behaves interesting. I don't know why it's doing this. Gotta be a bug related to the controls that are automatically assigned to the Honeycomb. Also, why do we get the TCAS off message? I turned this thing completely on, didn't I? Ah, no. Alt report off is all the way to the right. Okay. Good, then never mind. I didn't see anything. Before takeoff checklist. Flight controls, checked. VNAV climb page. We are not going to do that. Engine anti-ice, autos, strobe lights, auto, landing lights on, taxi light on, transponder Tara before takeoff checklist. Okay, let's go. So, timing. Thrust is more or less stabilized. That's my toga switch. There is my toga switch. Could be that one, no? Well, okay. In that case, we're just gonna set thrust manually so that we don't waste too much of our runway here. $80 knots. V1. Rotate. This rotates nicely. Much better than the 787. Then, gear up. Positive rate. However, the terrain display is just as horrible. Go away, please. Okay, thrust ref, enough speed. Let's put on the autopilot so that the airplane can show us what it can do. Acceleration altitude. Flap 5. Speed check, flap 5. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. We're gonna keep it in 1 because we have a speed limit on the first waypoint there of 220 knots, which the airplane is correctly obeying over here. Well, correctly obeying almost. That's a bit too high a rate to climb there, maybe? Okay, set standard. Passing 5-4, climb 7-0, and we've passed waypoint 060, speed is going up, flap 0, speed check, flaps up. That might have been a bit high. Looking for 24,000 today. Okay, flaps up, no lights, after takeoff checklist. So, landing gear lever up, flaps up, wing anti-ice, not required off, and spoilers down. Yeah, that definitely shouldn't be there. Okay, after takeoff checklist complete. Then we are on the way. Lovely airplane, isn't it? Really lovely airplane. By the way, if you want to fly on a Boeing 747, in June 2023, Lufthansa is going to operate a couple flights between Frankfurt and Palma de Mallorca on the 747. So that might be your chance if you don't want to go long haul and don't want to invest too much money. Okay, 10,000. We still have a speed restriction on air on 063. That's the reason why it's keeping 250 knots. But nonetheless, we can do the checks. Okay. Let's see if the weather radar is doing anything, but I don't think we have weather conditions that would warrant being anything on there. Also, it looks like it's good weather to me, so let's turn the fasten belt signs off. And just like in the 7.8, this is going from on directly to off. So the auto position doesn't seem simulated. However, while I say that, do keep in mind that this is the very first beta version of the Aircraft and Avionics Update 2, so all this stuff can still change until the release within the next 2 months. Okay, look at that rate of climb, 3,500 feet a minute, and we are still in the reduced climb too. Now, that is quite believable, to be honest, because we were first of all flying pretty close to the speed for the best angular climb. What would that have been? 215? Well, I doubt it. 215 max angle, that doesn't make sense, because 215 knots would have meant that we had to take the flaps out, and we will never get a better angle with the flaps extended than with the flaps retracted. So, not sure where that comes from, but that is certainly not correct. So, let's just have a bit of fun. And where is the N1 limit page? I believe it's under init ref in this plane. Oh yeah, here it is, thrust limit. Sorry guys, still a bit used to the 737. Okay, let's go full thrust and see what happens. (3,600 feet a minute. Nice. And this is believable, just to be absolutely sure that we're talking the same thing there. This is absolutely believable. Beautiful aircraft, isn't it? The 747. Even though I like the larger displays of the 787 better, but nonetheless, still a beautiful airplane. And just listen to how quiet those engines are in the cockpit. You can really hear a large difference between, well, let's call it conventional aircraft like the 747-400 or the 737 next generation, and the new engine generation like the 747-8 or the 737 MAX has them. Really huge difference there. Hey, 3,000 to go. It's doing roughly 3,000 feet a minute already. Very nice. So we can remove the timer. Don't need that anymore. Vertical speed 2,000. But why is it showing us N50 over there? It shouldn't do that. The way this should work is that I believe in the large Boeings you only get increments in steps of hundreds. In the 737 you get steps of 50 when you're at less than 1,000 feet a minute, but in the large Boeings I believe it should always be steps of hundreds, so the 50 should be there. Okay, and approach level 230, so we have 1 to go. Again, just like the 787, that plane here is pitching a bit too strong. Like, see how fast it follows those commands that I put in. At this speed that you're flying, when you're pitching that fast, you are going to cause absolute havoc in the cabin, because you will simply be throwing everyone around. So the autopilot definitely needs a little bit of dampening there before the actual release. Okay, Vina, leveling off nicely. Okay, cool. Optimum 404, max 410. It doesn't have a recommended flight level though. That is grayed out, so that is probably not simulated. Just like the step climbs are grayed out as well. Well, does that mean the plane doesn't have step climbs at all? It is a long-haul airliner after all, so... yeah, that looks like it. No N1, no ICAO steps, and no step 2 altitude. So step climbs are not simulated, it seems. I certainly hope that that's going to be changed prior to the release, because a long-haul airliner that is not capable of doing step climbs would be, well, unfortunate. I mean, that would be primary functionality of the flight management system there. Most certainly, because how are you supposed to do... or how are you supposed to get accurate predictions for your arrival time and your arrival fuel when the plane doesn't know which altitudes you are going to fly? So that's something that definitely needs changing. Something I just noticed as well on my navigation display here is that it is showing any airport regardless of how long the runway is. So this should have some sort of a filter in it that is only going to show runways that are longer than a certain minimum length. For example, in the 737 we had a minimum of 2,000 meters set there until the airline then went ahead and actually manually deleted pretty much anything that we were not supposed to operate into. That really helped tidying up the display though, so it's something that I would appreciate seeing in here as well, instead of simply showing any airport. Okay, anyway, we are approaching the point in time where we are going to start the descent, so let's quickly go ahead and fix our route if there is anything to be fixed. What's interesting about this arrival is that we actually have this in-between constraint over here, so let's see how the plane is going to handle that. That's going to be interesting. Seeing that we have 13 miles to the next waypoint where we have to be at 11,000 feet, I would expect the airplane to be at 14,500 when crossing Savvy. But let's see how that's going to work out. In the meantime, let's quickly prepare the FMC. Again, this should illuminate the execute light. I don't know why it doesn't. Go forecast, flight level 200 and flight level 100. What's the wind at the moment? 266 at 4. So let's use that for the entire way down. I'm using a default flight simulator preset here for the weather. with the fuel clouds preset, so I do not actually expect any change there. Invalid entry, come on. Why can I not click the clear button? The click spots are blocking themselves out here. The speed brake click spot is over the clear click spot. Okay, 060, that looks better. Then, fuel to go, 11.6 on the landing, 13.7 right now, that's a 2-ton burn. We'll calculate 1.5 just because we've got this long protracted arrival in. So that's the landing weight of 168.3. No, 268.3 actually. Okay, and this is going to be a flap 30 landing. Right, auto brakes, let's take number 3, and that should be mostly it for our setup. Recall. Checked. Okay, let's do the descent checklist and see what comes out of it. Auto brake selector, level 3, anti-ice. Off, altimeters. 1013 set. And checklist complete. Oh, I just forgot the minimums. Interesting that the descent checklist doesn't have that part in it. Normally, all Boeing checklists would ask for the minimums as part of the setup over here. So 560. That's going to be it for runway 25 left. Okay, so for the arrival, what's that? Okay, plan mode works. We don't have an approach mode? Come on, you gotta add that prior to the release. Like, this is basic Boeing stuff. You should have that. Well, they have a plan mode at least, which is something. Reset MCP out. 8 miles to run. Yeah, we'll do it in a moment. So, if you have a look into the arrival, this is a classical German ANAF arrival, bringing you onto a downwind, and then eventually you're going to get a radar vector towards the final. What we're going to do, we'll leave it flying until Spesa, where it is going to be at 11,000 feet. Flight level 110, and then we'll just go direct Delta Fox 621 to join the final ourselves. But I'm not going to set this up. I want to see how the airplane is going to perform when we actually reach that point of the flight, so let's see. Okay, Fabur flight level 240 restriction. I don't know why the topper descent is before that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. The topper descent should be only there, because we cannot descend prior to Fabur. But let's see what is going to happen. I'll set this down to 11,000 now. That. So let's see if the airplane is actually going to bust the Fabur restriction or if it is going to delay the descent. It's going to be interesting to see. Okay, crossing the top of descent. And nothing happens. No vertical deviation, but it did switch the FMC to the Econ descent page, so you can see that descent mode is active now. But we don't have any info over here yet, so that is a little bit strange. Let's see if it's going to start the descent by itself once we cross Fabur, though. Yeah, it does, and it shows me 1,000 feet high, so that is most definitely incorrect. So I guess, internally, it started the descent previously already. And look at that rate of descent there. That is mental. Even more so because it's in VNAV speed. Why is it diving for the path when it's in VNAV speed? It should just be maintaining the airspeed that it has over here and accept that it is flying too high. That makes no sense at all. And now that we're close to... yeah, here we go, VNAV path. But either it should have stayed in VNAV path and then dove for the path, which is what? What is that sound? Yeah, that sound in the background? I have no idea. Ah, it's the engines, okay. It sounded a bit strange. It reminded me of the minimums sound that you have in the MD-80s. But okay, it's the engines. That's fine. Anyway, please explain to me why we are flying on a VNAV path with the engines up. It might be in a geometric descent segment here, but that doesn't make sense either, because then it should have started at level 240 at Fabur. Anyway, there is something wrong with the VNAV descent as it is going right now. That certainly should not have gone the way it does right now. I suppose it probably started its internal descent when we passed the top of descent on the nav display, but then it just maintained flight level 240 until Favre, which was correct behavior. But at the same time, the internal VNAV path will have descended already, which is incorrect. So that should not have happened. And then obviously it should not have to dive for the path. But anyway, we're here again, and we are flying again, so that is alright. Okay, in case you're wondering what the indications are on the primary flight display here, you can see we've got a new indication here that you didn't see in the 737 yet, and this is actually the speed which the flight management computer permits the airplane to deviate from before adding thrust. Now, right now we're flying on the geometrical path segment, so it is going to maintain the thrust in order to fly the airspeed that it's commanding, but as soon as we are on an VNAV idle path segment, then it will allow the speed to deviate within that magenta band over there while maintaining the path. Okay, we passed it right on the spot at 18.5. Next up, Savvy. And as said, following the path calculation there, I would expect it to cross Savvy at flight level 145. But let's see what's actually going to happen. It has to cross it anywhere between level 135 and 145, but I would certainly expect it to cross it at level 145, seeing that it still has, well, 11 miles in order to reach level 110 at Spesa. So if you take 3 miles per 1,000 feet, then 135 would be something like 9 miles. So to be exact, it should be crossing it somewhere around level 141, 142, something like that. But obviously it still has to decelerate the speed, so this is something I found a little bit strange earlier on, looking at the speed predictions over here, but it seems to have fixed it now. Yeah, now it has predicted descent speed over here. I believe I saw it showing 240 knots over here previously, but that's alright. Now it seems to be doing good stuff. Something that I want to try real quick is over here, the waypoint and altitude information. So this is something where I would often just go and enter the landing runway at the landing field elevation. So that's runway 25 left and give me 350 feet. Like this. Oh, key not active. Okay. What it should have done is to give me my waypoint as demanded, so the runway and the airport elevation, and then the vertical speed required down here, and the flight path angle required would have shown what I need for an exact straight-in approach. But looks like they didn't simulate any of that, so let's delete that again, like this. Okay, 15,000, seatbelt sign can go on. Beautiful weather conditions out there, right? I love it. I really love it. It's a shame that the 747 cockpit is so dark. It should be quite a bit brighter, to be honest. I grab it over here in the light, so that's looking good, but I guess the engine of the simulator is just shading it down so far that even in daylight we need the lights over here otherwise. Yeah, if we turn those lights off, really hard to see anything up here. No, I don't want the floodlights, thanks. Okay, so that's the light setup as we have it. Apart from that, something I really wanted to check, ATC button, does it do anything? Well, it calls up the correct page, but the lock-on button is not active, so it doesn't look like we have CBDLC in here. To be honest, I didn't really expect it. Same for the uplinks. As you can see, the requests are grayed out, so they aren't working, just like on the 787. What is it doing here on the... Oh, look at that. That looks interesting. Well, just gonna click that away for now. Keep in mind, this is still the first beta version of the aircraft and avionic update, so bugs are definitely to be expected. Okay then, let's go down to the platform altitude of 4,000 feet. Like this, set altimeter 1013, set passing 12.1, descending 4,000, no flag stand by set, and we'll go direct at Foxtrot 621 for our shortcut. Why is it going to the data page? You should be on the legs page, my friend. Execute. Not available. LNAV. VNAV. Why is it taking down the airspeed? That direct seems to have confused him. Okay, let's just put the direct in one more time. No, this is definitely incorrect. Look at that, the speed bug goes below the flap speed even. And it shouldn't level off either. If it is below the profile, it should fly 1,000 feet a minute until it catches the profile. Well, if the automatics don't do that, then we're gonna make it do it ourselves. Get 250 for now. Well, let's try level change and see what we get. By the way, interesting to see as well there, when we pressed the vertical speed button, we got the 50 feet over there. And we had the same thing in the 787, and it was definitely not supposed to do that. But the fact that we are seeing the same bugs over here, to me, basically indicates that they seem to have simply, taken the same systems, developed for the 7.8 and the 7.4, and then copy and pasted them into one another. Now, there is nothing wrong with doing that, but let's hope they're gonna fix that stuff prior to the release. Approaching 10,000 feet there. Lights can go on, and the fasten belts are on already. And we're on the local altimeter setting, so let's go ahead and do the approach checklist. So, landing light switches, on. And seatbelt selector, on. Approach checklist complete. So, looking at this, we are coming in a little bit high. Let's hope the airplane take a bit of speed brake, see how good the speed brake is on this. Speed brake full out. Look at that! That is mental. This is absolutely mental. 13 degrees nose down pitch. No. Speed brake up. We are not going to do that. This was crazy. This was absolutely crazy. Did we deploy a drag parachute or something the likes? Is there anything flying behind us? Oh boy. Also, why is it climbing? You should still be descending at a couple hundred feet a minute. Okay, that was crazy. So they definitely need to reduce the drag of that speed brake. That was just insane. Anyway, at least we now achieve a proper level of altitude here, so we can hopefully do a nice and smooth continuous descent arrival. Let's start bringing it down towards the flaps up speed. Glide slope is coming alive, we are nicely below it. Okay, flaps 1, speed checked. Then we can reduce it a little bit further towards the flap 1 speed. And flap 1 we have. What do I have to see here? 2,500 feet a minute? That's definitely a little bit, it shouldn't be descending that fast. It really shouldn't. Let's give it a vertical speed of 1,000. So it looks like the drag introduced by both the speed brakes and the flaps is definitely too much here. Let's hope they're gonna fix that prior to the release. You can give me 500 feet a minute here. That should give us a nice ILS intercept. We'll let Elnav turn us onto the final, and once we're on the final, we're gonna arm the approach mode and then continue with the approach. One to go. Nicely approaching the center line over here. We'll start the final turn in a moment. Even though this is definitely not correct, we are not 0.6 miles from Delta Fox 621. This is more like 1.5 miles. Why did it do that? That was definitely an incorrect mileage indication there to the waypoint. Like, we're not even over it yet. Okay, well, turning on a final, approach mode armed, and we've got localizer and glide slope capture. Okay, first of all, flaps 5. Let's get the speed down. And then, runway heading. 248, and missed approach altitude 5,000 feet set. Temperature 14, entering the clouds, that is alright. And then let's go flaps 10. Just to get the speed down into a more reasonable range here, as we're flying really fast currently on the ILS. 11 miles out, we're doing about 200 knots indicated. Okay, that looks good. Airport is in sight over there. And just the usual disclaimer, in case you see the frame rate dropping a tiny bit now, this is purely due to the Frankfurt airport scenery and is not related to the aircraft avionics update mod. Quick look from the outside while we're at it. Still a beautiful, beautiful looking airplane, isn't it? The 747. Yeah, Sober model is obviously also quite good over here. Okay, terrain is noted. Back into the cockpit. Let's start with the configuration. Gear down, flaps 20. So, let's bring up the landing checklist. Can we arm the speed brake somehow? We can. Okay, and flaps 30. Get down to VRF plus 5. Landing checklist, landing gear, down, speed brake lever, armed, flaps. Still coming out. Takes a little while on the 747, and the real one as well. Okay. Flaps for landing sets, landing checklist complete. Now why are we getting a speed brake extended warning? Yeah, because I pulled it a tiny bit too far. It looks like otherwise I cannot arm it. Is it armed? Okay, looks like it is armed. Well, interesting. No further comment on that. Okay, the lights are on. That means everything is pretty much ready to go. Auto throttle disconnect. Try to bring up the throttle to some similar settings, like this. And manual flight. 1000 is checked. 1000 is checked. 1000 is checked. just see that master caution message. We had the same in the 787 already. I really don't know what that is related to, but... well... okay, 500 to continue. Continue.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Ouch, that was interesting. I had the feeling like the plane didn't react at all when I started the flare. Okay, thruster is normal. Deep brake extended. Okay, we got an auto brake disarm light there. 80 knots. Even though, interestingly enough, I still had to tap the brakes in order to actually get the auto brakes to disarm. But you saw the light over there, but when I tapped the brakes, we could still see the switch moving. And we could actually feel the deceleration becoming less, so no idea why that happened. And here we are, welcome to Frankfurt. So let's quickly vacate the runway, and then we are going to clean the airplane up and bring it all the way to the gate, where I'm going to get my opinion. Okay, so... weather radar off on the other side already. Gonna keep those. Lights, flaps, speed brake, and the transponder. Okay, looks like that landing was a little bit on the positive side there. I flared at 30 feet, but, well, now that I think about it, I do seem to remember that in the 747 you're supposed to flare at 40 feet, not at 30. But anyway, we're on the ground, the plane is still in one piece, we can even walk away from it. The passengers can walk away from it to tell everybody how bad the landing was. So, that's pretty much all you can ask for, isn't it? Let's see if we are tracking accurately. Yes, we are. Okay, crossing 25 center, strobe lights on, clear on the right, nobody coming there, clear on the left, very good. And here we go. Ooh, nice. A couple of 747s parked over there on the maintenance apron. I speed back to 10 knots for the turn, and it just seems so incredibly slow, doesn't it? Let's give it a bit of thrust. I have the feeling that when you go into a turn with this, you get quite a bit of additional drag and the airplane really starts to slow itself down. That's... I can hardly imagine that the real plane would do that. Like, obviously, you will have a little bit more drag when you're going through a turn, that's out of question. But that you really need so much thrust in order just to maintain your speed in a turn is interesting. And when you look at videos from the real 747, you basically see them usually operating the outboard engine on such a trip, or when you're making such a turn, just in order to aid the airplane going through the turn a little bit. But when I have to use all 4 engines at 40%, that seems to be quite a bit. Now, then again, I'm not a rated 747 pilot. Indeed, I have never ever flown one. The only 747 flight dynamics I know are from the PMDG version in P3D back in the day and in FSX, and obviously those are not the most accurate, so I would not exactly expect that to be a 100% reference there due to the simulator limitations. But then again, we have those limitations in P3D as well. In MSFS as well, so different limitations, but there are still limitations. Okay, November 8th, here we go. Look at that, the plane almost stops. And I need 45% of thrust just to keep it going at 2 knots. That definitely doesn't seem right. Okay, here we are. Then we've got the next turn coming up, so I have a feeling I could almost leave my engines running at the higher power setting already. Left and right are clear. This time we're gonna cut the corner a little bit there. Need to see something outside though. Here we go. Left side is clear. Look at that! Down to 3 knots just because of that turn. You lost 11 knots in it. That does definitely not seem right. Okay, starting the APU. Huge wingspan here, so you can definitely not taxi on the colored lines with this airplane. Okay then, approaching the gate. Lights off. Ooh, 18 knots, I'm going a little bit fast. You hardly see it outside, do you? That's better. Alpha 69. Let's make sure to taxi forward enough. 4 knots, looks good. And bring it to a stop. Here we are. Okay, parking brake set. We have external power already. I don't understand that, but anyway. If we have power, we have power. We can shut the APU down again. Oh, shut down. Okay, and the beacon can go. Where's the beacon? Okay, off. And with that, let's read the shutdown checklist. So, landing light switches. Off. Taxi light switches. Off. Throttles, idle, park and brake. Set. Seatbelt selector. Off. Anti-ice. Auto. Fuel flow. Cut off. Beacon light switch. Off. And that's the shutdown checklist complete. So, thank you everyone for flying along. I hope you've enjoyed this one. So, with this being my second review of the Aircraft and Avionics Update Beta, what do I think of it? Well, I do think that it is quite an improvement over the default aircraft, of course. So, this is really a good way forward for Microsoft to go. Now, what should you expect of the Aircraft Avionics Update 2? Well, is it going to be study level? No. Is it going to be a systems trainer? No. Is it going to be a huge lot of fun for, let's say, 95% of the flight simmers? Absolutely yes. So, these are not study level or trainer aircraft, but they are simulated to a nice way. In terms of the avionics, they are doing a good job there in that they get you where you want to go. They still have a couple of bugs, obviously, in the beta version, so would I recommend you to get the beta? Well, if you can live with bugs and if you can work your way around them, then absolutely yes. If you cannot, then, well, probably rather not. Then I would suggest you wait until the final release, where most of those bugs are hopefully going to be fixed. Anyway, I would like to thank you for watching and hope that you have enjoyed today's flight. If you did, then do let me know in the comments below. I am, as always, looking forward to read what you think about the video. And I would like to say thank you for watching. See you all again on the next one. If you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member, which is going to give you exclusive early access to new videos before they are released for anyone else. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again, hopefully very soon.